Sultan bin Ahmed Al Qasimi, Chairman of Sharjah Media Council, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to Connected Circles event titled Leaders on LinkedIn, Engaging Stakeholders in the UAE. During the first hour, we have 3 interesting sessions. The first session will be with His Excellency, Dr. Khalid Al-Midfa, Chairman of Sharjah Media City, Shams. He will touch upon the future of media and digital in Sharjah and why and how he uses LinkedIn to address these topics. In the second session, we will have an interesting meeting and session with Raji Al-Khadim, Head of LinkedIn MENA, Public Sector Talent Solutions. He will inform us why LinkedIn is the preferred platform for business leaders. How does their activity really impact talent engagement? And in the third session, we'll have a nice meeting with both co-founders of Connected Circles, Melena Piemont and Galmir Delke. They will talk about the massive potential of activating the voices of leaders and employees to engage stakeholders. After we finish with this, we will have a quick session of Q&A. And in the second part of this event, we will have an opportunity for networking and one-to-one session with your speakers. Please, please, please make sure you book your slot with your favorite speaker. Throughout the session, Connected Circle team members and LinkedIn team members are available here to answer all your queries and questions. Please do not hesitate to put your question forwards, and there's always going to be a member team to answer. If not, then that question will be taken to the Q&A sessions. So relax, get ready, and enjoy the sessions. We will start with His Excellency, Dr. Khalid Al-Midfa, Chairman of Sharjah Media City. Dr. Khalid, welcome to the event.
Thank you very much, Fajr. Good afternoon, everybody. It is a great pleasure for me to be with you this afternoon. And I would like to thank you for taking the time and attending this event. And of course, on behalf of Sharjah Media City and Connected Circles, I'm honored to welcome you all. And it is my privilege to be the opening keynote speaker. And I'd like to thank the Connected Circles team and LinkedIn team to be with us today for this opportunity. So today I will be talking about the evolution of digital media and LinkedIn in Sharjah. A user of LinkedIn and an advocate actually of the use of digital media, especially within the premise of Sharjah Media City, Shams. And today, as we all know, there is the rise actually of the digital media in the landscape. If we move to slide number 2. So the landscape of media is continuously evolving and constantly reinventing itself, where new ideas about information and communication are emerging every day. And these are supported by the latest technological advancements and achievements. So as we can see in slide 3, these innovations have changed the way we think about traditional media systems, and our consumption of them has gradually reduced, and as we grow more fascinated with online and digital media. So the society actually we live in is becoming more digitally connected, as we can see in slide number 4. It is more connected than ever before actually, and as we all know, starting from the 1 year back actually, when the pandemic started getting around the world, the amount of time we spent actually online and connecting with people had also provided us with an alternative way to connect with each other as families or for work purposes. So this actually have contributed, as we can see in slide number 5, where we see the infographic from the Media Lab Middle East, it indicates how much time UAE residents are spending on various media platforms. As we can see, the usage of internet dominates actually, and overshadows all other media, including the traditional broadcast systems. So, in fact, print media such as newspapers do not even feature on the lists we see in front of us here. And this actually signifies that we are getting all of our information from internet sources. And we can see the watching television number of hours, listening to music, or using games, and so on. The next slide also shows us the daily media usage in the UAE, where social media continues to be a major part of our lives these days. And this is the analysis showing the daily social media usage in the UAE, where Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn have a substantial percentage of the population visiting them daily, and several new platforms are starting to gain popularity as well. And it is apparent, we can see Snapchat and Twitter as well. The seventh slides here shows, as you can see from it, the graph showing the average monthly visits per website, where it have increased from 2019 to 2020 by these percentages actually. And the most significant increase is being with the TikTok platform. And this shows us that the social will continue in its rise, and the number of users will increase dramatically over the next few years. And we will be still having them as an important way to connect with each other and with different demographics that surrounds us. There is another aspect also for the usage of internet, where it is becoming a more dominating in terms of commerce. So further research shows that social media can also be a method of e-commerce, with several businesses selling products directly through Facebook and Instagram. This also ties in with the rise of online shopping and the fact that several customers use social media to make purchase decisions. And we can see the percentages of people who have utilized actually the online platforms to do shopping and purchase new things. Another aspect also of the rise of internet and connectivity is the increase of the video content and the rise of virtual reality and augmented realities. So video content is still immensely popular, and we all know the YouTube continues to dominate over the non-video social platforms. Shorter videos are preferred to grab the attention and engage the users. VR and AR is projected to be a massive global market over the coming few years actually. And enhanced and immersive visual experience will give a great, is having actually a great potential for consumers' appeal. And several major corporations are investing in this technology. And we can see the numbers and the data coming from tech.co. So with regard to entertainment, people who spend more time indoors relied heavily on streaming services and gaming. And here in Sharjah Media City, we have actually projects and actually trials on those fronts in order to gauge the interest of the people that we are targeting. So the gaming industry, as we can see either ourselves or our children. It has become the biggest earning media sector, while the market demand for streaming contents show no sign of slowing down. So we are based in Sharjah, and as we all know, Sharjah is the third largest emirate in the United Arab Emirates. It is the cultural capital of the UAE, and in Sharjah Media City, and being the chairman of Sharjah Media City, Shams, we are actually at a unique position where we can see not only the progression of global media trends, but also the unlimited potential of Sharjah as a territory. So recently we have been witnessing a revolution in economic and cultural context of Sharjah. And we have always had a rich heritage, diverse economy, and strong status as a cultural center. And this did not start now, actually. It started over 30 years back when His Highness Sheikh Dr. Sultan bin Muhammad Al Qasimi, the ruler of Sharjah, put culture and the importance of culture as a forefront for the strategy of Sharjah. So these are all important factors for, as a strong foundation to build a future or the future of media. And in that regard, we have gained several achievements in the 4 years of working of Shams, Sharjah Media City, where our mission with Sharjah Media City is to create a world-class hub for media and creativity in the region. So the aim for us is to make entrepreneurship accessible and inspire business growth. So we foster a vibrant and connected ecosystem for innovators to thrive. And Sharjah has also been taking vital steps toward embracing a digital future and becoming a smart city, implementing digital methods and streamlining essential services and improving the quality of life for both residents and visitors. So a digital fresh approach will ensure a progressive outlook towards the future. And we can see some of our activities here within Shams in those photos. So we actually embraced a platform that we believe in, which is LinkedIn. With so much of our professional and personal lives being online, there is definitely one issue we face as leaders and top executives. How do we get our message out to connect with people with so much online clutter? How do we prevent our thoughts and ideas from being lost amongst the shuffle? So this brings me to LinkedIn. And I'm happy actually to be here on this platform talking with executives from LinkedIn itself, where we believe actually this platform is a truly unique digital platform for professionals and top-level executives. It is a comprehensive way of understanding the business developments in your region and connecting with influential people in your specific industry. So LinkedIn does not intrude into your life the way social media platforms sometimes can have. Instead, it is focused on being a professional and maintaining a corporate persona. Moving to the next slide. Through my experience with LinkedIn and the Connected Circles team, I have learned that optimizing my profile gives me opportunities for strategic network growth. And I am able to connect with industry leaders as well as innovators throughout the region. I have the opportunity to spread awareness about Shams and our achievements over the years. Sharing our journey and some of the lessons we have learned has helped us to create a community online. So next slide. we believe that stakeholders are able to engage with the knowledge and ideas we have, and we share them online. It has also brought our partners, the people we work with, closer to us. And I have also been able to showcase my interest in a variety of topics, which has led to further connections across various sectors. So whichever sector we are interested in, we believe there is an interest actually and an available information and data and connections who are already on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn has shown me and shown the team the value of a personalized content. There is an authenticity present when hearing from leaders directly, as opposed to brand content. So most consumers are aware of hidden advertisements and are more likely to trust what they hear directly from the top executive. So we can see in this slide, as it demonstrates the expectation we have for leaders are always evolving. So over time, spontaneous speakers are shown to be more trustworthy than rehearsed speakers. Additionally, employees and consumers prefer CEOs to be more visible, to inform them about issues, to create discussion about the industry and trend. So we see how it is increasing, and the base and the dependence on these leaders in their respective fields. So trust and engagement should be the key component of your interaction with stakeholders. Nowadays, huge advertising campaigns and vast social media presence are not enough to establish this. Instead, it is about creating a community, sharing information, and advising and educating others in your space. This is what we think leadership is all about. A thought leader is someone who is seen as having an influential and authoritative voice. It is about being provoking and adding value to a transaction beyond just sales. We are living in the information age, as we have access to so much knowledge at our fingertips. We work and connect business largely across a digital landscape, and I believe that we should always consider the impact of our messaging. We should ensure that our communication reaches the people we need to. We need it to actually. We can all aspire to become thought leaders, and I have confidence that everyone has the opportunity to do so, and thanks to the rise of digital media. Thank you very much.
Thank you for reminding me. Dr. Khalid, thank you very much for that informative and interesting session that is full of information. And just one question comes to mind at the moment is, you mentioned, relationship, you created something. How did really Shams, through using your LinkedIn, benefited from the stories you have developed or the posts you have published? How did Shams benefited from that?
Actually, through my account in LinkedIn, I do receive a lot of communication messages from different aspects of the industry that we are working in. And a lot of those actually are genuine ones, and we are very happy with the quality of those connections and requests, which I direct toward the respective department within Shams. So for example, for job seekers or people who are available to utilize their expertise, we direct them actually to our HR department. Those opportunities or people presenting opportunities for us in the media sector, I direct them to the media development department within Shams. Real estate, the same. Technology, we have actually initiated a lot of good contacts through that front. So I believe we have in Shams, actually, we have benefited from activating my account and the way that actually benefits Shams directly, as well as my personal growth and progression in life.
Which is very interesting. Just one last question has been kind of raised. Yes, you get a lot of emails, you get a lot of likes, you get a lot of engagement. I mean, does it affect you? How many hours you spend? You know, how many posts do you publish a week? I mean, there is a formula for you there to?
Actually, yes, we have actually benefited from the experience of our partners, and actually through this engagement with this platform, the LinkedIn, we benefited from the partnership that Shams have created with Connected Circles. And through that front, actually through that engagement, we learned from them the best methods, the best ways in terms of putting our posts. And we don't go more than 3 to 4 posts per week. So it is regular. We have actually created a team that follows up the communication, the engagement of people. So it is not only me who are dealing with these contacts. We have good support from that front. And as I said, the experience that Connected Circles that have brought into this have benefited us a lot, and we have created a local team here in order to support people who are interested to join Connected Circles Middle East, the venture that we have established here in Shams, where we wanted to benefit thought leaders, chairmen, CEOs, and general managers of companies and organizations, for them to utilize this platform in the best interests of their organizations.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you very much, Dr. Khalid. I mean, as the event is all about LinkedIn and how we utilize LinkedIn, I mean, who is better than Mr. Raja'i Al-Khadim, head of LinkedIn MENA Public Sector Talent Solutions, to provide us with the insight and knowledge about this amazing online platform that connects the world's professionals together, that make the world a smaller even than it is. Welcome, Mr. Raja'i Al-Khadim. Thank you very much for being part of this event today.
Thank you, Fajr. Great to be with you today. And thank you, Dr. Khalid and the Connected Circle team. And very good to welcome to all the attendees. And I hope you have a great session today.
Thank you. I mean, LinkedIn was launched in our region, for quite some time now, and have kind of witnessed a lot of growth, adoption for members, for businesses. What can you tell us about this LinkedIn? I mean, how did journey start with you and where we are here today? I mean, I'm really intrigued to understand and see what you guys have done in the past few years.
Thank you, Fajr. So a little bit of history to our audience. LinkedIn has been established all the way back since 2003. So that's around 18 years of existence and has been steadily growing globally. We are currently the #1 global professional platform for all the professionals in the world. And the membership, as I said, has been growing steadily. As a matter of statistics, if I can share with you some numbers, we have around 740 million members on LinkedIn. And then just as a matter of scale, this is almost as much as the number of current professionals, if I may say, white-collar professionals that are actually today in existence. So it can give you a little bit of the size of scale of how many members are joining the platform in terms of the right members. At the same time, LinkedIn is hosting the different components of the global vibrant economy, which is also segmented at the local level. Almost 55 million companies are represented on LinkedIn. More than 24 million jobs are being posted on the platform. As you know, people also on their profiles, they put their skills, what they're good at, and then all those skills are kind of aggregated. We have more than 36 million skills being represented, as well as the academia, which are all the schools, universities, more than 100,000 institutions are as well on LinkedIn. The platform is available in 24 languages. We have many offices, more than 30 offices globally. And then this kind of attests to the global reach. If I may zoom in a little bit on our local history, I joined myself LinkedIn in 2013. We had just opened the office 1 year back in 2012. And then we were just 5 employees back then. And we grew to almost 90 to 100 employees recently, which is an amazing growth. Our UAE office, which is based in Dubai, is the regional office for the MENA region, the Middle East and North Africa, and steadily growing. We have around 4.5 million members in the UAE. And if you compare it to the actual number of population in the workforce here, it's quite a significant coverage, as well as around 100,000 companies that are subscribed on LinkedIn or represented locally here in the UAE, as well as the jobs posted. In the MENA region also we grew quite significantly, more than 30 million members. So this is based what in terms of our membership. Now, in terms of our vision and mission, ultimately what we would like to see is it's all about creating economic opportunity for every member of the global force, of the working force. So when I say creating economic opportunity, is that people, when they come on LinkedIn, they come to get some value. It's not just to spend time on LinkedIn, and there's nothing wrong with spending time on social media, but at the same time to get some benefits. And then for us to give benefit is to create economic opportunity. Whether it's a person that comes that would like to get a job, be hired, whether it's a company that would like to hire, whether it's a small business that would like to engage in doing business, whether it's a Shams Media City that would like to be on the map and then reach out to all the influential people and all the concerned people, whether it's the esteemed members of the audience that have they would like to achieve that economic opportunity, whether that is, LinkedIn would like to do that. And we do it by connecting all those professionals, all those companies, all those members to make them more productive and successful. And then here I stress on the words productive and successful. When you come on LinkedIn, it's from the mindset that I need to get something out of it that benefits me as a person, as an individual, as a company, or even as a government. And then another interesting fact of why why LinkedIn is important and why we kind of differentiate ourselves from other maybe platforms that are not similar in nature but are social platform, is that because of the trust. And His Excellency Dr. Khalid mentioned about the trust, and when members comes, they need to feel that trust. So LinkedIn has been ranked consistently since 2018, 19, and 20 as one of the most trusted digital platform, and this is compared to Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, and so forth. And LinkedIn has been constantly, and this is due to because we have the philosophy, and this is one of the main reasons that I love to work for this company, is we are a member-first company. So whatever is in the best interest of our member is most important to LinkedIn, and we kind of prioritize this because we know that our members should feel kind of they trust that platform to be able to engage and then connect and do whatever they want to achieve.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Rajai, I mean, you raised an interesting point. I mean, everybody now would like to have what we call a digital presence, I mean, in various kind of capacities in different platforms. I mean, what is important? I mean, what is valuable? Why is it important to have a digital presence on LinkedIn? That's what I would like you to put some light on, please.
Absolutely. So in terms of a digital presence, today you said digital, right? And then when we say digital, compared to what? It's compared to the traditional. If I'm meeting Fajr, we have recently met. We have met with the Connected Circle team, and then we will meet with a lot of esteemed audience. And we are meeting in a digital format today over Zoom. I don't think people will be sending, their paper CVs, fax it to me, and so forth. I need to be able to understand who this person is, what does he do, and how can I connect with him. And this is what LinkedIn allows people to do, is to build their digital professional persona, because today this is the best way for people to be interacting, given that everything is digital. And what LinkedIn allows people to do is to put forward all those interesting information in an aggregated manner and very simple way, like a calling card, which is a presentation of their reputation, what they're good at, their achievement, their life pursuit, whether knowledge or business, and then to put it in a simple way. LinkedIn is now, on mobile. It is searchable, and then people can connect easily with each other. And with the click of a button, I can understand before going to a meeting or before doing a business decision or before meeting anyone. I can brush up on, who that person is, what are they doing, and the more people are putting on that digital profile, it is more important. And then as well, there is the professional side of it. People are representing themselves as professionals. So today, if I'm not going to talk about myself, Raja El Khadim, I'm the head of LinkedIn MENA for public sector, and as such, I'm representing myself as a professional person, and you can find data related to me as Rajai as a professional person with all my calling card around these things, versus Rajai, who is maybe has a social media personality, right, or a profile which is about my hobbies, maybe something that tells about my family, the latest vacation that I had. So people should always balance between the social profile and the digital profile, because ultimately this is what it is. And this is maybe to answer your question. Now, okay. That being said, yeah, go ahead.
Just what I'm also interested in, you mentioned earlier on that you have seen an increase in the number of executives, using LinkedIn. You being kind of the man behind the area expansion, the guy involved from day one, I would like to know, shed a light on what do executives do? What is all the best practices or advice you can give so they can improve what they do on LinkedIn?
Yes, absolutely. So what we have seen is a great increase where the adoption of LinkedIn by executives. The reason, because they understand the need to do so. They understand the power of LinkedIn, and also they understand that as executives, they are the face of their organization, one, and then also they need to have a professional identity, and they need to be out there to further their goals, business goals, to further their brand as well. Also, they have direct correlation with their business, because the executive that have a LinkedIn profile or that are engaging digitally out there, we can see there is a direct correlation with the trust in their organization, almost 90% increase in trust. And as well, they have a direct correlation in enhancing the brand reputation. Case in point, Dr. Khalid today talking about Shamus being, I saw the profile, LinkedIn profile of Dr. Khalid, amazing profile. He's sharing, he's posting, very curated profile, well done. And then the more Dr. Khalid is engaging, the more people know about Shamus. They know we are understanding what is the objective of this entity. The leader is sharing these things, and as such, this is why leaders should be on LinkedIn, as well as in the digital world. We need to also diversify the means of communication, whether traditional, social, or professionals. And then we see that it's an opportunity for those leaders to share their point of view, and then offers insights and draw from their experience, and as well curate articles that relate to the audience. Let me give you an example. One of my first milestones in the MENA region was, and we were honored when His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid joined LinkedIn as a platform. And we know that Sheikh Mohammed is always as the kind of front line of jumping on all the new technologies. And then we had the pleasure to host him. And when the profile was done, one of the first articles that Sheikh Mohammed had shared on LinkedIn was called The Brain Regain. And in The Brain Regain was a study that was done that showed that at that time, UAE was attracting the global talent and was one of the most cities where people wanted to work There was at that time the kind of global economic downturn. So Sheikh Mohammed went and then kind of went with this article saying UAE and Dubai is the land of prosperity, the city of hope, the land of opportunity, and so forth. And that's a great one, marketing, awareness, and people who didn't know now will know. At the same time, also His Highness Sheikh Mohammed, when they did the cabinet reshuffling, Minister of Hope, Minister of Tolerance, Minister of Youth, which were the first kind of such missile jobs globally, it was announced, I think, on other platforms or on the official news site of the government around this change in government. However, His Highness went on LinkedIn and then through an article post explained exactly why did this change and gave the people the opportunity to understand. So if we just want to give some kind of advice for leaders, what is it that they would want? It's actually a kind of interaction between three areas: the personal interest of the leader when they become personal, and I think Dr. Khalid touched upon it about being truthful or being authentic. Is what are they known for? What are they passionate about? And then the second pillar is the business and industry and the company strategy they work for. Talk about these things, and finally some topics that are trending, that are important to people, and then what they touch upon. And when we come like the sweet spot between all of three, this is a winner. I've been following recently Dr. Khalid Huraymel, the CEO of BIA, and he's very active on LinkedIn. He shares a lot of posts around digital transformation, around the environment. And as I follow the profile, I can learn more about it, and I become educated, and then slowly, surely, I become an advocate of him and his company. What does motivate?
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's a lot of information you've been sharing with us. I mean, there's any tips or tricks? I mean, use the words. I mean, that could help, yes, people using LinkedIn, to improve their profile, they improve their account.
Absolutely. We start from the basics. You need to have a good profile, so the appearance has to look good, and hopefully we can maybe cover this in more one-on-one sessions. But the picture, professional picture, make sure all the experience is well done. And then one of my favorite saying is, don't say it, show it. LinkedIn provides a space for people to show the achievements that they have done, whether it's an article, whether it's a conference, whether it's a video, whether it's a piece of news. For example, let's suppose, Fajr, and you are a great speaker, you have been in the media, but if you just put it on your profile, I've been a seasoned speaker, okay, I cannot judge if this is good or not, but when you post a clip of you maybe being a master of the ceremony of some event, and then you're speaking, I can say, you know what, Fajr, he's really out there, he knows what he's doing. The second one is about the content, and choose the right content. People care about what is relevant to them, if it's educational or informative, if it's inspiring, or if it helps people gain a skill or develop. So that content is important for people. And the way you deliver the content is very also important, because people have a very short time span attention, and they will not spend 5 minutes or an hour analyzing a piece of content. It has to be catchy, out there, that within a split of a second a member can understand what it is about. Infographics, catchy stats, and so forth, or inspiring words. Finally, the engagement is how to get people to engage, and that here our best tips is around when do you post, what time do you post. For example, we say that posting at the beginning of the middle of the week is much better than posting on a Thursday, where people are transitioning into their weekend. Probably they will not be on LinkedIn, and so forth. The time of the day, posting during the early time of the day to get this post out there, gain enough momentum to gain likes and comments and get people to engage. Asking questions as well, because sometimes if you just post a statement but don't engage people, it's a missed opportunity. So actually, go out there and then get some questions, or engage directly with the people. And then the frequency. If you post once a month, people will forget, but being active, posting once, twice, or 3 times a week, it gets it top of mind. So be out there, continuous, and then be consistent. This is our best advice.
Mr. Raja Al Khadim, I mean, thank you very much for this valuable information and sharing such thought with us and the audience today. I mean, thank you very much. I mean,
Thank
for
you,
the
Fajr.
audience, I mean, I would like you guys to remember to book your slot with your speakers. So far we had heard from His Excellency Dr. Khaled Al Midfa. So if he's your favorite speaker thus far, please book your slot. And also we heard from Mr. Raja Al Khadim from LinkedIn. So if you need to know more about LinkedIn or on one-to-one basis, please book your slot before they disappear. Now we reach to our third session. I believe it's going to be an interesting session. I mean, I have the privilege of meeting, the co-founders of Connected Circles during one of our visits in Holland, and now they are joining us from the Netherlands. I mean, I would like to welcome, Melena Piermont and Garmin Delkin, the co-founders of Connected Circles, who've been had the privilege of working with closely for just over 1 year. Good morning, your time. Good afternoon, our time. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Good morning. It is really a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Dr. Khalid, for this amazing introduction to the session. And I have to say, I'm mesmerized by the power of LinkedIn. So Rajai, I have to say, I will book a slot also. I have a lot of questions for you. So we founded Connected Circles because we believe conversations are a force for good. Today, there has never been a better time for leaders to understand how to build conversations and how to build power in their own organization and have impact. Today, you could do that thanks to LinkedIn and what they have developed in the past years to allow these conversations to happen. So we are inspired every day because we manage leaders from listed companies, from entrepreneurs to, I would say, executive and senior executives. And why are we inspired? We're inspired because they have a voice. And today, what lands at the heart of all these connection and engagement is really the voice and the human part of it. We are all afterwards human. And this is why these social media platforms are so strong, is that they are built to really make human connections go to the next level. So when we work with leaders, we realize that this engagement can happen also on topics which can matter to CEOs. Topics which are linked to engaging their employees, engaging their stakeholders, creating impact for their company, their country. And this is why today we are really inspired to be talking to you about how we can really engage you to really understand the impact you can have as a voice in what you do every day. And one thing is clear is that we will have new platforms coming into the market to really reinvent social media, but no one will dispute the power of the voice, the power of human to make these connections. So there is kind of a first mover advantage. All the people we've managed and all the people we have had the pleasure to really be, in LinkedIn together, we found that this conversation gave them kind of a first mover's advantage. Because LinkedIn is working and evolving at the speed of light. The technology behind is amazing. So this conversation can be really taking scale today, and being very well positioned on LinkedIn gives you a straightforward advantage. So I'd like to share with you in the next slide why this matters. So it matters because today we are in the age of shareology. This is the age where we can build a relationship and interacting with consumers in the human-to-human basis. But that creates the future of commerce. And this is also at the start of understanding how from a conversation you move to impact and commerce. And it matters as well, because in the next slide, you will see that what people in your company, people around you, the voices that are there are willing and hoping you are going to take as a leader the power of your voice. Today, people expect their CEO to be talking about economic, to be talking about cultural, to be talking about all these topics that may influence what's happening also in their company. And this is important. And don't be shy. We have seen people saying it's not for me. I'm too senior to communicate. There is always a good reason to do it. But those who have engaged into the conversation have managed to change their own behavior and have made this digital transformation a human transformation. Because we are quite lonely at the top, but often it is by engaging with the stakeholders that we find we can really create authentic impact. So I'd like to show you in the next slide some example of what's happening with big CEOs, because today, when we talk about engagement, which is a very important metrics, we see that engagement of a brand versus engagement of the CEO is often that the CEO has way more engagement. And why? It's back to this story of being a human, being a voice, taking that we are the only one as human able to tell those stories because we can relate to them in a human way. And if we look at the big names which are above here in the slide, you'll realize that, for instance, the CEO of Volkswagen, himself engaged more than his brand by a huge factor. And the CEO of IKEA, the same way. Would you have envisaged that the CEO himself, Jochen, would have 285% more engagement than its brand? Well, interesting, no? And it makes you think. Because today, what we have seen is that by leveraging the voice of a leader, we can really find a way to differentiate, to go beyond, to tell stories which will have virality, which will be scalable, and that will help the brand, and that will help the company, and it will tell the employees what's going on in their company. So it will engage a way bigger stakeholder group. I would like to also, mention that when Jane Romney, the CEO of IBM, started to think about how can we leverage the power of social media, they were referring to this idea like, we don't want to be in a company which is about learning. We want to be about a company which is about sharing. And sharing is really what's going to be happening. If you can share what you know, if you can engage your customer with it, you are redefining a new way of doing business. So with this in mind, I would like to say that you're never senior enough to engage in LinkedIn. It is for us a real pleasure to understand and support you with Connected Circle Middle East. And I'd like to share with Galimir some of interesting thoughts about how we can leverage knowing better how you perform and how this can give you some impact for your business. Thank you.
Good afternoon, esteemed guests. Thank you very much for spending time with us on Monday. We are very happy to share a bit about what we do and a bit about what we've found. I'll show you some numbers about LinkedIn, about specifically executive profiles on LinkedIn. We are a company that focuses a lot on communication and a lot on content and engagement and strategy. But at the end, you can't do strategy if you don't understand the platform, if you don't understand how the content works, what content works. So we've invested heavily into analyzing what's on LinkedIn. There's a lot of public content, a lot of public numbers of engagement, a lot of public profiles, and we have collected a lot of this information and been able to make sense of it a bit better. And I hope to show you that in a few slides. But before we get into data, we have to remember, I would like to see the slide with the value creation and authenticity, because the common thread when we've looked across hundreds and thousands of profiles on LinkedIn is that the profiles that succeed have two elements always. One is that they consistently create value through their content, and the other one is that they are authentic. And those are two distinct things that we should really understand for ourselves to be able to be better communicators, not only on LinkedIn, but everywhere. Value creation is really about the audience. So what can the audience gain from reading your post, from reading your comment, from visiting your profile? What information will be useful for them? What can they learn? What they can integrate into their own behavior? That's value creation. And every time you post, you should be thinking, who is it for and what will they gain from it? If you can answer that question, it's already on its way to be a much better post than if you're just sharing something that you care about, but then the audience might not. Authenticity, on the other hand, is all about the person posting. And it might seem a bit selfish in a way, because it's about you. It's about what you feel, what you think, what your opinion is. And if you infuse that in your post, if you infuse your emotion and your genuine opinion, you are actually sharing a piece of you. And everyone that knows you, everyone from your network, or even people that don't know you, they will feel that. And when they feel that, they are much more likely to respond to it with supporting you, with following you, with doing something with your content. If you're just purely sharing information, there's a limit to how far that can reach, even if it's the most exciting piece of information that you're sharing. If you don't say why it's important to you and why it's important for others, it's difficult. So good people, good leaders combine these two traits into a very consistent online presence, and that's what makes it very, very good for them. The challenge is that when we talk to CEOs especially, and we tell them about authenticity, very often their reaction is, I don't want it to be about me. It's not about me. I don't matter. It's about my company. It's about my mission. It's about the change I'm trying to talk about, or sustainability. They don't want to put themselves in the spotlight, but we really try to explain to them, being in the spotlight doesn't mean that you have to be selfish with your profile. Actually, your profile getting more attention because of your seniority, because of your work history, because of your reputation, that's great, because then you can use that attention to focus people on the important topics, to highlight people, to bring others up and make people aware of them. And if you don't have that attention, it's difficult. And as Rajai said earlier, there's already such a challenge with limited attention spans and so much content on LinkedIn. So you have to use every resource you have to maximize your chance of being heard, of being noticed. And if that means using your leader profile, do it. And it will help not only you, but all your stakeholders, your employees, your partners, your customers. And that's the point. Even if at first it feels like it's about you, but also all of your stakeholders. And that's the beauty of it. And if we go to the next slide, we're going to see some people that are actually practicing what I'm saying, right? So these are the top voices of 2019, and we also have the ones from 2020 that LinkedIn have recognized themselves as being active profiles, posting meaningful content. And that's very important, because if you look through the names and if you look through the different numbers on the right, because we look at the traditional numbers, right? So followers, engagement, and how often they post, or how many posts they've done. And the slide you see is based on the last 6 months of activity. So you can see quite massive differences in the activity levels of people, in the follower levels of people, and also in the engagement levels. But in the end, even though those numbers are important, what's really important is to notice the different nature. Like there's business people there, there's entrepreneurs, there's government representatives, all kinds of people can be top voices. And actually the way LinkedIn recognizes these voices is not purely on the social media metrics. That would be too limiting. The way LinkedIn recognizes top voices is on the quality of their content, the topic that they talk about, the substance with what they talk about. And it doesn't matter if, one time the post gets 50 engagements versus the next time 200. Every time they post something, it will be meaningful. So whoever sees it will gain something from it. And that's also what you should remember with your profiles. Maybe at the start, you will not get the engagement that you expect. You will not see massive numbers or thousands of people like those CEOs that Milena talked about. But it's not about that. As long as you commit to value creation and authenticity, people will notice and they will appreciate it. Maybe a few at start, but it will quickly grow, combined with your seniority and your organization's reputation. So stick with it, and basically anyone can be a top voice of LinkedIn. Actually, I've checked all the profiles of the attendees, and some of you have been very active on the platform. They have even better engagement and follower numbers than some of these top voices, And that's because you have committed to the approach that we talked about, the consistent communication on important topics. So if we go to the next slide, you can see the 2020 voices. There's also some people from Sharjah there, actually, that you will recognize. I think some of you are actually in the audience as we speak. So thank you very much for joining us. You know yourself the topics you address. It's really meaningful things. It's culture, it's society, it's changes. And that's what matters. There's a few things that help you grow faster on LinkedIn, like being, a CEO of a massive corporate. It helps. Having 50,000 employees across the world, yes, it helps, but it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. It maybe accelerates you a little bit, but good content is what really accelerates you. Good engagement with the correct audience is what really accelerates you. And that's what you should be focusing on. And it can start from any point. You can have 1,000 connections right now, you can have 10,000, it doesn't matter. You can start and you can strategically build it up with your content approach and with your networking and connecting. You can connect to anyone, you can target anyone. Dr. Khalid said from his own experience, he's invited so many people across the world because he knew what kind of people he wanted to have in his profile. He didn't have to wait for those people to come to his profile. He could find them with a targeted way and bring them across and give them good content to work with. That was the idea, and that's what all of you can do at any moment, basically. And if we go to the next slide, this will actually summarize. So these are all of the posts, almost 800 posts of the top voices of 2019 and 2020 together over the last 6 months. So what we can see from this slide is that on average, each of these top voices posts about 9 times a month, which is aligned with what Rajai was saying as well, right? If you're only posting once a month, it's difficult. But it doesn't mean that you have to post every day. You're all busy leaders. You don't have time to be constantly on LinkedIn. But if you commit to maybe once or twice per week and make sure that each of those posts is well thought through, it has a bit of you, and it talks about something important, you will succeed. There's no way around it. Considering your background and your seniority, you will succeed. And then the other part, which a lot of these, it's not really represented by this slide, but it's important to mention, is that it's not only about broadcasting. If you are only pushing out your posts and your articles and everything, there's a limit to how far you can reach. If you instead combine that with also commenting on others, liking their content, being a bit engaged with the platform, the algorithm of LinkedIn treats you differently. It starts looking at you as a very highly engaged or kind of giving profile, because every time you engage, you're actually helping the person you engage with. So if you combine the two, you have much more success. And that's also, if you look at any of the top voices listed in the previous 2 slides, you will see that they do both. And even if you see someone posting once or a month or something, then they engage maybe 20, 30 times a month. That's how they balance it out. And then if we go back to the slide with the summary of all the posts, you will notice that the types of posts vary greatly in terms of engagement. So some of the posts that people do the most, like sharing someone else's post or linking something like an article, those actually engage the worst. And the reason why they engage the worst is because they're not personal. They don't have the opinion. They don't have the authenticity. And also they take people away from LinkedIn, which of course LinkedIn doesn't really like, right? They want to keep you on the platform. And actually the best thing if you want to support someone's post instead of sharing it is to comment on it, because then you're giving them basically a gift. You're supporting their post, you're expressing your opinion, and they are getting something out of it. If the post is too important for you that you have to post it, then it's better to post your own post on the same topic rather than just sharing what already is out there. So the other thing that is extremely seen across all profiles we analyze, and Rajai can also testify to that, I believe, with his own experience, original content, when you post pictures, when you post videos, short, to the point, meaningful videos, that always works and it always engages very well. So even if it takes a bit longer to produce, it's actually highly valuable, and there's a big return for you as a leader if you do that. Together with your team, of course, you don't have to do it alone. So the slide after is actually the same kind of structure as this one, but it's about some of you. So we've analyzed some of the profiles of the attendees to see, because as I said, a lot of you are active already. You have also posted a lot. So in the previous 9, we have 3 per month. So you can be a bit more regular with it. And then in terms of content, you see that about 50% of your content has been shares and links. So exactly what we talked about in the previous slide. If you are spending time on the platform, it's much better to post original content. Try to do that, work with your teams, and you're going to have a lot more success on the platform. In the end, if we go to the next slide, I want to also make an important point. You are not alone. We're kind of talking a lot about leaders and like, oh, you have to be active and your profile matters the most. And that's true. You are important because you can be the example. You can be the front runner. You can be the leader that sets the tone for what is okay to communicate. But then successful organizations actually spread that across their employees, because in the end, your employees are your biggest resource. So if you are active, it's much easier to inspire your staff and your employees to help you manage the content. In this example that you see on the slide from Starzplay, one of the big streaming services in Dubai, if you just look at their brand page, they have a lot of followers, sure, and they post a lot, great, but it's incomparable to 40 of their employees and what they can achieve with the networks that each of them has, with the content that each of them has. The engagement is miles and miles bigger. And that's true for basically any organization. If you can get the employees motivated to do this with you is the key thing, not for you, with you, then it will work very well. And the key thing is to recognize that this only works if you have motivated and positive employees, right? So they have to feel good in the organization that they are in, and then you can invite them to be part of this, not only to help the company and you, but to also help themselves, because every time they post, they don't only post for you, they post for their own professional profiles, their own professional image, and that's where they gain something from it as well. And that's why, you know, companies like Starzplay have managed to make that as like a consistent practice. It's not something that they do for once or twice because their boss taught them. No, they do it because they recognize that it also helps their profiles and their careers develop. And that's how it can spread. And this is 40 employees. I mean, some of your organizations probably have thousands of people working for them. The power is and the potential is massive for that. And then on the last slide, just to wrap up, this is what we always go back to. Each of you as a leader faces this framework one way or another. Some of you might even have extra categories that are not even covered on this slide in terms of what kind of stakeholders you're managing. But in the end, in an age of COVID, in an age of limited physical interaction, in an age where some of you are doing business across the world, not only in the UAE, digital is your way to make sure that each stakeholder group is recognized, that each stakeholder group is communicated to in a human way, even if it's on a digital channel. That's I hope what you can take away from this event. And we've only touched the tip of the iceberg. So we would really like to talk to you more, and applying everything that we've said is different for every specific use case. One person, one company differs greatly from another. So we're super happy to talk to you in the sessions that come. Feel free to book one-on-one meetings with us, and we will try to talk specifically with each of you to help you figure out how you can use this platform the best, because the potential is massive. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Melina, thank you, Galmir. I mean, every time I meet you guys, I learn something new, and this time I learned something new, and I hope everybody, learns something new. Just before I leave you to the one-to-one sessions, I mean, as I said earlier, they're going to be one-to-one sessions with all our speakers, His Excellency Dr. Khalid Al-Midfa, Mr. Raja Al-Khadim, Galmir, and Melina. And also, I mean, there are some colleagues from Connected Circles, Lars and Ubaid. Also, they can answer your question if you want to write them, so they can answer you on the right, on the chat. And also from LinkedIn, there is Serene and also Wael, who could also answer your question regarding LinkedIn if you want to do it on the chat. I mean, let's go back to our speakers. I mean, let me start with, Galmir and Melina, who finished last. You kind of mentioned, an interesting point, which is about the CEO or the chairman or the president. Is it me or is it the company? I mean, how can we define that line? Where can we draw that line?
What's really important, you are a human, and as a CEO, you are not the brand. And what's important is to respect the definition of a human for you as a person leading the company. Otherwise, you end up being the top of the service and the top of the brand. So you don't want to become, the brand. You want to become the leader, the thought leader that will push the brand, its employees, and all its stakeholders to the next level. So that's what it's very important to differentiate the two, because at the end you help your brand, but you are not the brand.
Indeed, and it's very important not to get the message from our presentation that, we're basically saying stop posting on the brand and shift completely to people. In the best case, they work together. So the brand is active, which then helps the leader also engage with those posts, comment on them, spread them to the network, and the other way around. If the leader posts something, the brand can support, they can highlight what the leader is doing, and it's really like a back and forth between the two to make the best possible effect.
I mean, this is an interesting answer. I mean, this is drawing me to kind of bring His Excellency Dr. Khalid. I mean, how did you kind of find that battle, between the brand of Shams and you being Khalid Al-Midfa and with your own interests? I mean, how did you manage that,
As it was mentioned actually in the previous presentation from Melina and Galmir, it's actually a collective effort. It's a teamwork that needs to happen here. We actually, yes, have a full team supporting us from marketing, from social media, and so on and so forth for the brand of Shams. But we also believed in what is advocated here from Connected Circles, and we actually tried it ourselves, that me being the chairman of Sharjah Media City, and plus also my colleague Shihab Al-Hamadi is also now becoming one of the ambassadors of the brand as Sharjah Media City Shams. So we're both using our accounts and implementing what is actually mentioned in the presentation, and we do see the benefit of that, and we have managed to get our messages across to a wider audience than just the brand itself. So yes, it is not a straightforward. It needs support, it needs help. It starts actually from setting up appropriately the account itself, the page where my information is actually appearing and enticing the interest of people. So it worked well for us over the past 24 months, and we're wanting all our attendees to benefit the same, because we believe that this platform, this medium is a great medium for everybody to benefit from. So it doesn't matter if it is 10,000 or 100,000 of followers. What we want is more engagement, more interest to be delivered through the voice of the chairman or the manager or the CEO and so on.
Mr. Rajai, I mean, it must be music to your ears, hearing about people using and benefiting from LinkedIn. And I think this is kind of one of the main objective for LinkedIn. I mean, I would just like you to kind of add to this, or from your experience, the expansion, et cetera. I mean, how did you see kind of people using LinkedIn and how they have changed, using LinkedIn throughout the years?
So yes, definitely we have seen people understanding more LinkedIn and then the value of it. There was a misconception that LinkedIn was only for a digital CV or to do a job or to find a job. But then people were more now aware that this is a place to connect, this is a place to showcase the brand, this is the place to do business, whether from the customers or from the members. Case in point, when I started in LinkedIn in 2012, I remember we were celebrating 200 million members. And then now we're 700 million. And when I used to visit our clients and members, we had to explain what LinkedIn is and what is the value of LinkedIn, especially when I was dealing with the government. Today, people actually know, they see the value, and they are much open and then interested in gaining this. At the same time, with the development of our mobile application and the enhancement of it, and then having all the features has become also the go-to application for a lot of people. And just as a matter of fact, I wanted to add another thing that I didn't mention before, but I think it's also relevant. We recently acquired a learning company. And then now we have also, as part of our offering, LinkedIn Learning, which offers more than 15,000 courses for online learning. And today also this is the go-to reason why people come to invest in themselves and to seek knowledge. So it has now a lot of benefits for our members.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, Galmir and Milena, I will go back to you. I mean, as His Excellency Dr. Khalid mentioned and Mr. Rajai, I mean, it's all about engagement, all about the post. I mean, but on a CEO level, on a president level, on a chairman's level, I mean, finding the stories, week in and week out, twice a week or 3 times a week, it's kind of a mundane job. It's not an easy task to do. I mean, how can connected circles help here? I mean, what is your advice, and how does that could work?
Sure. There's many ways to answer this question. First, I want to comment on how do you find the inspiration every week, because I think that's something that all of us face that want to create content. Actually, it's a shared problem, regardless of whether you're CEO or fresh in your career. The best advice there is to not try to go out of your way and kind of say to yourself, now I have to make content. That's not how the mind works, unfortunately. So it's much better to actually focus on what you're already doing. So the moments you're having, the meetings you're having, the places you're visiting, if you can capture those, if you can document a little bit your thoughts and your experiences as those things are happening, that's such a great inspiration for content. You could be, as a CEO, visiting a new partner or a new business that you've just acquired. And that moment of visiting is actually a great opportunity to maybe say something about that business, to introduce maybe the head of that business, or to reflect a bit on why this business acquisition is important for your overall approach across the different things that you're doing. And you don't have to think for hours on what you want to say about it, because you're there, you're in the moment, you're experiencing it. And that's enough. All of you are very experienced and very knowledgeable. So bringing that across and just sharing your observations and your opinion is a great way to actually get started and reduce the barrier of entry, so to speak, to content. But you're right, it's not like you can have exciting news or maybe events every week that kind of bring you attention or some new things happening. So the way we help our clients, for example, is that we survey the industry for them. Because also we try to explain to people, if you only talk about your company all the time, it kind of creates a bit of a biased image of you. You basically, you start being equal to the company, and you don't want that as a leader. And as Milena said, so you have to say something also about what's happening in the outside world, in the industry that you're working on, in the region that you're working on, and keeping track of all those updates and all of those news is quite challenging for a busy CEO. And so we've developed certain tools based on AI that basically help us monitor key sources that we basically agree with our client. And then we always tell them if something comes up, and we ask them, what is your opinion on this? What would you like to say about this? We really don't tell them, you know, hey, post this article, because literally everyone on LinkedIn posts articles. So we don't want to be like that, but we tell them, read this article and tell us what you think as a leader on this topic. And then that's what we use to make the post complete and to make it really authentic for the person that's posting it. Yeah.
If I may, I think it's a wonderful question, because at the end, because it's behavioral change, because it's very profound to enter into this new conversation. This is why what Galimir mentions now, which is really how we have developed all this knowledge to really help people change behavior towards this new conversation. Actually, you really need help, because you start and say, well, I can learn from it and do it myself. But then after 15 days, you go back to the old routine, because you really need to learn how to change that behavior in a long lasting way. Because if you want to create impact for your employees, for your business, you really need to change to this new way of conversing. So that's why all these tips are great, but it's also about, you know, acknowledging you can get support to really learn and put you into the next generation of social leaders.
I mean, we have kind of a number of attendees here who have that experience, you know, on working on LinkedIn. They have business casuals, you know. I mean, I would really love to hear from them. I mean, if they can write in the comments, I mean, how they manage to juggle between kind of what they do on a daily basis and how they write articles or post in LinkedIn and create stories. And also, I mean, here we can, you know, ask His Excellency Dr. Khalid, because he's kind of been involved in this kind of on a daily basis. I mean, what was the main challenges, Dr. Khalid, in the beginning? You know, start, you know, committing time, you know, looking for stories, and how you develop that relationship with the team, because you mentioned, as you mentioned earlier, you know, there's a team works with you, and you know, to work on this post and article. I mean, how does that work?
Yes, it is actually challenging at the start, but thanks to the team actually of Connected Circles, despite you know, the physical, the geographical actually distance between here and Holland, we managed to create a good way of communication to run that process. And I would like to thank you, Fajr, and the team for maintaining that and upkeeping it actually. It is maybe little challenging at the start, and that's why we thought here in Sharjah Media City, we needed to bring this ability, this experience to support the leaders in this region. And this actually delves well with our mission in Sharjah Media City. It is the thing that we believe how it can benefit media scene or the utilization of the developing and dominating digital media in order to make a difference in our respective fields. And we believe that by bringing this experience, by hosting the appropriate talents to support our people within the region, I believe we are going to make a difference together. So we created the Connected Circles Middle East in Sharjah Media City. We have a team able and available and ready actually to come and meet any leader who wants to utilize this ability and it is actually making a difference already to some of the attendees, and we would like to extend this ability to further circles, to further chairmen and heads of departments and organizations. Why? Because we believe that they can communicate with their clients, with their stakeholders through this strong platform and deliver their messages in the way that was described this afternoon.
Thank you, Doctor. Mr. Rajai, I mean, there's a few points has been touched upon, and you yourself also mentioned the training that LinkedIn are involved now. We talked about kind of profile for leaders and so forth, but also, I mean, what about the company profile, the organization? I mean, how we cascade things down, you know, from kind of the leader or the chairman of the organization, and then everybody kind of within the organization, you know, as His Excellency Dr. Khalid mentioned now, the director of Sharjah Media City, Mr. Shahab Al-Hamadi is involved in LinkedIn now. I mean, how can we cascade this down to all staff within the organization and also enhance, you know, the page of that company?
Yes, absolutely. The company page is the second or also the most important pillar. It's like the right hand and the left hand. So super important that you mentioned this. For the company page, basically, I think it has also the similar requirements, is that setting up the page, having the content, weekly posting, but most importantly, also a dimension of that company page is the employees, or are the employees which are an extension of the brand. So we have the CEO, we have the company, and let's not forget also the employees. They represent and they are wearing, this is a tricky one. Yes, they are professionals, but also they are wearing the t-shirt and the logo of that company online. So their actions, their posts, their engagement should also be within the spirit. And then a successful company is the one, or a comms team is the one who is able to balance or to be able to kind of maximize and then kind of really put into effect the support of the CEO, the network and the reach of the employees, as well as the company presence itself. On the company place, there are different, how do you say, flavors, the main, and then out of the box company page. And there are extensions also that the company can activate for the employer brand, for the culture, and then for people to understand more what is it about to work for this company, to deal with this company, and so forth. Similar rules for posting around the frequency, date of time, and everything else. We have seen that the companies that are using the different technologies in terms of the content variation versus, for example, even using live streams if needed, or posting, or the videos being personal are super important.
And then let's keep with Mr. Rajai here. I mean, I'm also intrigued by some of the pages of certain companies. I mean, some are really, really fantastic. But then the others, I mean, you look at certain individuals and their kind of accounts, it looks wow. But then you look at the organization, it doesn't look at that wow. I mean, how can they fix that problem?
This is a really important point that you mentioned, and it's all about investing time and then understanding. What we have seen is some organization, they keep doing what they know, what they do best, and those are the let's say they have one social media account and they said, that's it, I'm going to focus on this, which is good. But at the same time, you cannot just have the CEO and your employees on LinkedIn not have a presence or a deep presence. Not even also some companies or some pages, sometimes they are maybe impersonating your brand or taking advantage of this. So this is a missed opportunity to really go and invest. And it doesn't take a lot of work, but I think it's investing the right time, and we are here to help all our members and then the stakeholders in those companies to be able to do a great job. It's just about just starting there, posting the comment, and then a lot of comments is already ready available from their comms team, whether it's an announcement on their website or a statement by ZPCO. It's just a matter of making sure it is well presented on LinkedIn.
Here, I would like to bring Connected Circles from the Netherlands once again. We talked about kind of the individuals, and you really talked in a lot of details. And then we touched upon, the company pages and so forth. Do you work with organizations to improve the company profile, the company page, not just the individuals? And how do you find companies accepting this?
Yeah, it's a great question. Actually, our best clients, the ones that stay with us the longest time, they use us in different ways. So we help the leader on a direct basis to kind of really make sure that they have a consistent presence, that they're communicating what they want to communicate, that they are connected to who they want to be connected to. So really like personal service, which is valuable, but also quite time consuming. But then what usually happens after a few months of the leader being active is that then they ask us, okay, but what about my executive team? How can they help? Because they are experienced, they know what they're doing. I trust them to communicate. Help me. So in those cases, because we can't manage, an unlimited number of executives, we have to train them. So we have quite elaborate trainings where we can basically convey our philosophy and our ways of working to the leaders and basically help them start their activity to support the CEO, but also to manage their own profiles independently from us. So that's step two. And then very often, some companies have amazing teams for social media, quite big teams, and then they don't really need our help because we would just be kind of competing with them for who manages, the content. But many companies actually cannot afford a dedicated social media team. And actually, it helps them tremendously to have a company like Connected Circles come in and basically transfer everything that we're already doing for the CEO also to the page, and then think, how can we build on the content? How can we make sure that there's different content on the page versus the CEO? And once it helps us really a lot if we manage both, because we can really time everything correctly. Sometimes the CEO is in the lead on a certain announcement, and then the page follows straight after. Sometimes the other way around, the press release goes out from the company, and then the CEO maybe makes a video about it. It's a very nice interplay between the two profiles that's possible. And it's best indeed if we are kind of involved in both. But in any case, whether we're managing the page or not, one very important point is that we really work with the communications team internally of each company as well. That might be sometimes one person, sometimes 5 people, but it's a very important partnership, because if the communication team sees this as competition, that's kind of a deal breaker. It can never work. They really need to see us as like a massive support and an extra help rather than competition. That's important. I don't know if you have something to add to that.
No, I do think to your question, Faja, we use the brand page, the company page, and the CEO profiles and the executive profile. So listed companies that is present in a lot of continents will have different voices, and therefore we will need to coordinate very well all the voices that are there together with the company page. And I think this is basically the best point to be in, because then you really have great conversations at different level made for what they are intended to do.
Okay, fantastic. Let me go to Dr. Khalid Al-Midfa. He kind of earlier on touched upon how Shams benefited from his post and so forth. Where kind of, Dr. Khalid, if you can share with us some of this success, where the people are interested, were they mainly in the UAE, were they mainly in Sharjah, or is it worldwide?
Actually, the short answer is worldwide. And a lot of them are very relevant to our plans and our intended projects that we are interested to spend our time and effort on. So yes, the network that this platform have provided us made us clear and visible to the relevant businesses, the relevant supporters, and some of those contacts are even investors wanting to delve into and to try out some of their SMEs and startups that they have invested into them. So yes, as I said, it is worldwide, and some of them who wants to move into this region actually. So this was actually a very useful experience for us, and we are continuing on it, and due to the good and positive results that we have got from it so far.
Mr. Rajai, I mean, there is kind of a tricky things kind of in this part of the world. I mean, people speak English, speak Arabic, and people tend to post, English and Arabic posts on LinkedIn. I mean, from kind of a technical perspective or logarithm perspective, I mean, what is your advice? Because sometimes I see people in the same kind of post, they have both English and Arabic, they have the split picture or split photo. I mean, how does your algorithm work? I mean, is it beneficial or is it counterproductive?
So the profile is linked to the language or base language that was chosen. And as such, if we have an English profile, the default English language is the one activated. Now, you can also have an Arabic profile because we have the Arabic language on LinkedIn, and you can also build a profile in Arabic. Ideally, if you have an English profile, for the algorithm to work and to have the most efficient experience, you should be posting in English. Now, in the region, most people, they have their profile in English. However, as you mentioned, they are also putting a caption in Arabic, which is also useful for their message, maybe to achieve maximum understanding. But I believe that the English language in that post will be the one that will be kind of covered by the algorithm and not the Arabic one. However, the Arabic one is also important for case in their network, they have some Arabic speakers with the English profile. So there's no like 100% kind of clear solution, but I would say it depends on your network. And if some people choose to have the same post, either because there are two instances, some people put the post in English and then they post again in Arabic, or in the same post, they kind of divided. That could be also a good way. But I've seen that mainly the English one will work in terms of algorithm because the base profile is in English.
Fantastic. I just want to remind everybody, our attendees and so forth. I mean, we kind of still have less than half an hour. So if you have something to discuss with our speakers on a personal level, I mean, if you'd like to know more about your account privately, they're more than happy to speak with you. Just book the time and then we'll be happy to discuss the matter privately with you. I mean, here, Dr. Khalid is available to share his experience, Mr. Rajai to share LinkedIn knowledge and experience, and both Galmir and Melina to share connected circles and how can they help you to develop your accounts for personal and company accounts. Plus, we have two members of each team from LinkedIn. We have Serene and Wael who can answer your chats, and also Lars and Abeid from Connected Circles who can answer your chats. And what we're going to do now, I think we're going to end and go to the network area so people can have the opportunity to network in the last 20 minutes or so from the event. At this, I would like to thank all our esteemed guests and speakers, His Excellency Dr. Khalid Al-Midfa from Sharjah Media City, Mr. Rajai Al-Khadim from LinkedIn, and our partners from Connected Circles, Galmir and Melina. And also I would like to thank once again all the participants, and great thank you to Sheikh Sultan bin Ahmed, the chairman of Sharjah Media Council. And I would like to thank all the participants once again. Please go and book your time, and see you soon on other events for Connected Circles. Be connected.